The galaxy had long believed that humanity was gone. Hundreds of years had passed since the last human voice was heard. Most alien civilizations told stories of Earth as a warning tale. They said humans destroyed themselves with their own fire, their own ambition, their own hunger for more. Children on distant planets grew up hearing bedtime stories where humans were painted as monsters, clever but reckless, powerful but doomed. And so, in the end, the galaxy accepted a single truth. Humans were extinct. The Council of Worlds sat in their grand chamber, a place built of shining stone and endless glass. Leaders of many species spoke in calm voices, but underneath that calm was pride. They had outlived the humans. They had inherited the stars. No one feared the sharp edge of human strategy anymore. No one trembled at the thought of human ships racing into battle. Humanity was gone, and the galaxy felt safer. On the outer rim, in a sector almost forgotten by the Council, a scout vessel moved slowly through the dark. It was crewed by a group of alien explorers who collected ancient signals and strange radio echoes. Most of their work was dull, long hours listening to silence, but sometimes they caught pieces of the past. That day, they intercepted a faint signal drifting from deep black space. It was old, distorted, but still alive. The alien captain smiled, thinking it was another piece of human wreckage. "Play it," he ordered. The static cleared, and a voice came through, low, steady, and impossible. "This is the warship Aegis," the voice said. "You are transmitting on a human frequency. Identify yourself." The alien crew froze. Their hearts pounded. Their skin turned cold. It was not a recording, not a ghost from the past. It was live. The signal was strong, demanding, sharp as a blade. The captain whispered, "This cannot be. Humans are gone." But deep inside, he knew. "You, the truth." No recording carries that weight, that authority, that warning. Word spread quickly across the nearby systems. The rumor moved faster than light itself. A human ship had answered. At first, the galaxy laughed. "Impossible," they said. "It must be a trick, some pirate using old recordings." But then the warship's signal grew stronger. It repeated its demand. "This is the warship Aegis. Identify yourself." The Council of Worlds was thrown into chaos. Emergency meetings filled the chambers. Some leaders dismissed it as a fake. Others looked pale and frightened. They remembered the stories their ancestors told, the wars, the battles, the cunning human victories. They remembered how humanity, even in its weakest days, had fought like no other species could. If a single human warship still existed, what else might be hidden? Meanwhile, in the dark of space, the warship moved. Its engines glowed faintly, its shape hidden by shadow. The aliens who first heard it tried to trace its path, but the warship was clever. Every move precise, every signal controlled. It was like a predator circling prey, unseen but deeply felt. The galaxy had no answer. They had not prepared for this, because they thought they would never need to. Inside the council chamber, the debate grew heated. One elder alien slammed his claw on the table. "If humans still live, they are dangerous. We must act first." Another, older and wiser, shook her head slowly. "You do not understand humans. You never fought them. You never looked into their eyes during battle. Acting first means losing everything." For the first time in centuries, the galaxy trembled. Not because of war, not because of invasion, but because of a voice that should not exist, a voice that reminded them of everything they feared and tried to forget. In the silence that followed, the warship sent one last message. It was not a threat, not a declaration, it was a warning. "Do not test humanity," the voice said, calm and cold. And then, the signal ended, the stars grew quiet again. But the silence was no longer safe, no longer comfortable. It was heavy, filled with the promise of something greater, something unstoppable. The galaxy could not rest. For if one warship survived, what else was waiting in the shadows? The council leaders looked at one another. No one wanted to speak the truth aloud, but everyone felt it. Humanity was not gone. Humanity was watching. The galaxy did not sleep after the signal. Every world whispered the same question. Was humanity truly gone, or had they been waiting all along? The fear was not only about the warship itself, it was about what it represented. If humans had survived, then everything the galaxy believed was a lie. Out in the deep cold void, the warship moved slowly. It did not rush. It did not hide. Its path was deliberate, every move precise. The name Aegis spread across the networks like wildfire. Some said it was an ancient relic, others said it was a ghost ship. But those who listened to the voice knew the truth. No machine or trick could mimic the weight of humanity's tone. It was alive. It was real. The Council sent scouts to follow the warship. They kept their distance, never daring to come too close. Every time they tried to scan it, their systems glitched. The warship seemed wrapped in layers of invisible defense. Its hull absorbed signals, its engines left no trace. It was like chasing a shadow. The scouts returned with shaky reports. "It is not like any ship we know," one said. "It carries weapons that are beyond our science," said another. In the grand chamber, the leaders argued endlessly. Some demanded immediate attack. "If we strike now, we can end this threat before it grows," they shouted. But others shook their heads in fear. "You think one warship moves alone?" an elder asked. "You think humans would reveal themselves without reason?" The silence that followed was heavy. No one wanted to admit it, but they all felt it. The warship was not alone. Far away on a desert moon, children gathered around glowing screens. They watched shaky transmissions of the human warship drifting through black space. Their small voices whispered, "Humans are real." For them, humanity was no monster, no bedtime warning. For them, humanity was legend, a symbol of power, of courage, of survival. Meanwhile, the warship sent a new message. Its words were calm, sharp, and filled with warning. "Your fleets circle us like prey around a predator, but you misunderstand," the voice said. "We are not the hunted. We are not the weak. Do not test humanity." The message was repeated across every channel. It could not be silenced. It could not be blocked. Even planets that tried to jam the frequency found it breaking through. It was as if the warship spoke directly into the minds of every leader. Panic began to spread. Merchants refused to send ships through the sectors near the warship's path. Whole colonies locked themselves indoors. Soldiers whispered about the old wars when humans fought against entire alliances and still survived. Generals checked and rechecked their weapons, but deep down, they knew no preparation would ever feel enough. One daring commander, young and reckless, decided to test the ship. He led a fleet of 50 vessels toward the human warship. His voice was proud, mocking. "Show us your strength or admit you are nothing," he broadcasted. For a long moment, the warship said nothing. Its silence was heavier than any threat. Then, with one strike, the warship fired. A single beam of white energy cut through the void. Asteroids split apart like sand. The commander's fleet stopped in horror. The warship had not aimed at them, but at the space just beside them. It was a warning. One shot, enough to destroy them all. Yet it chose restraint, the young commander trembled. His voice cracked as he ordered retreat. The galaxy watched the footage again and again. Every species understood the message. The warship had the power to end fleets, yet it held back. This restraint was more terrifying than destruction itself. It meant humans had control. It meant humans had a purpose. Back in the council, the voices grew quiet. The arguments faded, replaced by unease. Some leaders finally admitted the truth aloud. If one warship survived, more may follow. The chamber fell into silence. No one wanted to imagine what that meant. No one wanted to imagine fleets of human ships rising from the dark. And yet, that was exactly what haunted their dreams. The lone warship was not just a ship. It was a shadow of something bigger, something hidden, something waiting. The galaxy had mocked humanity. The galaxy had declared them extinct. But now, with every passing hour, every signal, every shadow, the galaxy began to realize the truth. Humanity had never begged, humanity had never surrendered, and if the warship Aegis had returned, then humanity itself might be close behind. For centuries, the galaxy believed humanity had destroyed itself. The story was simple and convenient. Humans were ambitious, humans were reckless, humans burned their own world until nothing was left. It was a tale told by teachers and leaders to warn the young. Do not be like the humans, they said, but the truth was never so simple. Deep in the black corners of space, far from mapped trade routes and glowing cities, humanity had not died. They had hidden. They had endured. When the last great wars raged across Earth and her colonies, humanity faced a choice: fight openly and be crushed, or vanish into the void. The leaders of that time chose silence. They dismantled their signals, they shut down their beacons, they erased their presence from the stars. And in that silence, they prepared. The warship Aegis was proof of this hidden survival. It was not a relic, it was not an accident, it was a blade for Get in darkness, waiting for the moment to strike. Its design was nothing like the ships that once patrolled human space. Every line of its hull spoke of centuries of secret engineering. Every weapon glowed with knowledge that should not exist. The galaxy wondered, if one warship looked like this, what did the rest of humanity now possess? A fragment of the truth leaked through intercepted transmissions. Long ago, humanity had fled to hollow asteroids, to barren moons, to drifting stations buried in nebulae. They had built entire cities hidden from the galaxy's eyes. They lived in the shadows, unseen, unheard. Children grew up never knowing the sound of alien voices. Generations passed with only one lesson whispered again and again: survive, wait, prepare. Some alien historians began to piece together the evidence. Records of missing supply ships, strange energy readings, ghost fleets that vanished in the dark, all of them pointed to one possibility. Humanity had been rebuilding slowly, carefully, endlessly patient. The council members who denied it now sat in silence. The more they argued against it, the more the truth pressed down on them. Meanwhile, the warship Aegis sent no more warnings. It simply drifted, steady, calm, like a predator that does not need to roar. Every alien eye remained fixed on it. But in the shadows beyond the warship, something else moved. Unseen engines flickered in the nebula. Unheard signals pulsed between hidden outposts. The galaxy had focused so much on the lone warship that they forgot humanity's oldest strength, deception. One alien fleet, curious and reckless, followed the Aegis for days. At first they saw nothing, but then their scanners caught a glimpse of something impossible. Faint outlines of colossal structures hidden inside a drifting dust cloud. Shapes that stretched like mountains connected by glowing energy phies. LDS, and then, before the fleet could record more, the image vanished. The scanners went dark. The ships lost power for 3 whole minutes. When their systems returned, the warship Aegis was facing them directly, its guns powered, its voice calm. "You are not ready to see," it said. The fleet turned back in terror. Whispers spread across every world. Perhaps the Aegis was not a lone survivor. Perhaps it was only the messenger, the scout before the storm. If that was true, then humanity had never been weak. They had simply been waiting, waiting for the galaxy to forget them, waiting for the right moment to return. Fear turned to paranoia. Every shadow became suspicious. Every asteroid field was scanned twice, but no one could be sure where humanity truly lived now. The galaxy had grown fat and careless in humanity's silence, but humanity had grown sharper, stronger, more dangerous. Their survival was not an accident. It was a design. In the council chambers, one elder spoke what others dared not. If humanity has survived, then they have outwitted us all. If they hid for centuries, then they have grown while we grew lazy. If this warship is only the beginning, then we are already too late. The words struck the council like thunder. They had mocked humanity for being reckless. They had celebrated their supposed extinction, but now they saw the truth. Extinction was not the end of humanity, it was their camouflage, and somewhere, hidden in the dark, entire fleets of human warships may already be waiting, their weapons ready, their engines burning in silence. The galaxy trembled, because survival was only the first step, and humanity had always been a species that never stopped at survival. The council chamber was restless. No one wanted to admit it, but every leader in the room felt the same fear. The human warship was not only alive, it was moving closer. It was no longer drifting in silence at the edge of space. It was on a direct course for the heart of the galaxy, for the council system itself. At first, many thought it was madness. How could a single ship enter the most defended star system in the galaxy? There were fleets stationed on every moon, orbital cannons circling the skies, mines scattered across the void. But the closer the human warship came, the more uneasy the galaxy grew. It was not afraid. It was not slowing down. It was daring them. The Aegis glided into the system like a shadow over fire. Its hull gleamed with strange metal, darker than space itself. Alien captains tried to lock weapons on it. Every attempt failed. Targeting sensors scrambled. Navigation systems froze. The warship's presence disrupted technology itself. It was as if the ship carried an aura of dominance. Machines bent to its will before the battle even began. In the chamber, voices rose. "Destroy it now," shouted one commander. "Do you not see what it is doing?" whispered another. "It wants us to strike first." The debate ended when the warship transmitted again. This time the message was not only sound, it carried an image. Holograms filled the chamber, faces appeared, human faces, hard, scarred, weathered by centuries of survival, eyes that burned with both pain and power. The council members leaned back in shock. For the first time in living memory, they looked upon humanity not as history but as the present. The voice of the human commander filled the air. "You declared us dead, but here we stand. You told your children we were reckless, but we endured while you laughed. You believed we were extinct, yet our blood still flows, our ships still fly, our hearts still burn." The words struck like blades. Every alien leader felt their pride shatter. For all their boasts, for all their arrogance, the truth could not be denied. Humanity had never fallen. The warship moved closer to the central station. Alien fleets scrambled into formation, but not one ship dared flies. The warning from earlier still echoed in their minds. One strike from the Aegis could shatter moons. If this was only a messenger, then to provoke it was suicide. The human commander's voice grew colder. "We did not come to beg for peace. We did not come to ask for your mercy. We came to remind you of a truth you chose to forget. No empire lasts forever. No council rules unchallenged, and no species erases humanity." Gasps filled the chamber. The arrogance of the galaxy collapsed in an instant. The very species who once mocked humanity now trembled in silence. One alien leader tried to speak, his voice shaking. "What do you want?" he asked. The commander's reply was simple: respect and memory. Then the hologram shifted. It showed images of Earth as it once was. Blue oceans, green forests, glowing cities, and then images of Earth as it had become. Scars of war, flames, broken towers. The commander's voice lowered, heavy with pain. "You celebrated when we burned, but we did not end. We carried the fire with us. While you forgot us, we rebuilt. While you declared us dead, we prepared. Now you will remember humanity." The warship stopped just outside the orbit of the council world. Its weapons did not fire. Its engines hummed softly. It was a gesture of power and restraint. The galaxy's strongest defenses stood ready, yet none dared to act. The balance of power had shifted, not with blood, but with presence. Among the alien citizens watching from their cities, whispers turned into awe. Children pointed at the skies. Parents felt both fear and wonder. Some saw humanity as doom, others as hope. For in every corner of the galaxy, there were those who lived under oppression, and to them the return of humans was not terror, it was freedom. Back in the chamber, silence lingered. The human commander gave one final message before the transmission ended. "We do not seek war, but do not mistake silence for weakness. We will not kneel, we will not vanish. We are humanity, and we have returned." Then the hologram faded. The chamber remained frozen in shock. The warship waited outside, unmoving, unstoppable. The galaxy had thought humans were gone forever. Now they understood the truth. Extinction had never claimed humanity. It had only made them stronger. The galaxy had changed overnight. For centuries, humanity had been nothing more than a myth. But now, with the return of the warship Aegis, that myth had become living fire. No council decree, no fleet patrol, no whispered story could undo what the galaxy had seen. Humanity was alive, and that truth spread faster than light itself. Across distant worlds, whispers became panic. On trade routes, merchants refused to travel through human-claimed sectors. Entire colonies locked their ports, fearful that the humans might appear without warning. Soldiers checked their weapons again and again, but even as they trained, they knew deep inside their drills meant nothing. Against the warship that had silenced fleets with a single warning shot, no defense felt enough. In the halls of the council, the leaders struggled to hold control. Some species demanded peace talks at once. Others shouted for war before humanity could reveal more ships. But none could agree. Fear had shattered their unity. The council, once proud and untouchable, now looked weak before their citizens. Rumors became louder with every passing day. Some said that humanity had entire fleets hidden in the dark. Others whispered of massive stations that could swallow stars. There were even tales of humans wielding weapons that bent time itself. No proof was given, yet no one dared to laugh, because after the return of the Aegis, anything felt possible. Among the common people, fear twisted into something else. In hidden corners of the galaxy, oppressed races looked to the humans with hope. For centuries they had lived under the iron grip of stronger empires. Now they dreamed too. Had humanity's return might bring freedom. To them, humans were not monsters but liberators. Their voices spread quietly. Maybe the humans will fight for us. Maybe the humans will break our chains. This frightened the council even more. If humanity became a symbol of rebellion, then control would crumble, and already the first cracks were forming. Small uprisings broke out on distant colonies. Banners painted with the old Earth symbol appeared in the streets. They shouted a single word: humanity. Meanwhile, the warship Aegis remained in silence near the council world. It did not move, it did not fire. It was patient, like a predator at rest, but its very presence was louder than any attack. Every hour it lingered, the galaxy's fear deepened. Every hour it did nothing. The council's weakness grew clearer. One desperate empire tried to prove its strength. They sent an entire armada of 200 ships to encircle the Aegis, their leader declared proudly. No human vessel will enter our skies. But the humans did not reply. The Aegis drifted calmly through the blockade. Every alien targeting system failed at once. Engines flickered, shields collapsed. For 10 long minutes, the most powerful fleet in the sector was blind. When systems returned, the warship was already gone. Not destroyed, not damaged, simply untouchable. The Armada's defeat without a single shot shattered the galaxy's courage. If humanity could humiliate their strongest fleets without firing, what chance did anyone have in true war? Leaders who once spoke boldly now stayed silent. The galaxy had no plan, no answer, only fear. Inside the council chamber, an elder finally spoke, the thought that haunted them all. Perhaps the Aegis is not here to fight, she whispered. Perhaps it is only here to remind us that humans never disappeared. The silence that followed was heavier than steel, because if this was only a reminder, then what would happen when the rest of humanity returned? The fear spread beyond reason. And merchants abandoned routes, colonies shut down cities, soldiers deserted their posts. Entire economies began to collapse under the weight of rumors alone. No battle had been fought, no world had been taken, and yet humanity had already shaken the galaxy to its core. In the darkness beyond known space, signals moved unseen. Fleets powered their engines, silent but unstoppable. The Aegis had been the first voice, but it was not the last. Whispers in hidden channels spoke of more ships, larger and stronger. The galaxy trembled, because the fear was no longer about one warship. The fear was about what might come next. The truth was clear. Humanity did not need to fire a war. Their return alone was enough to make the galaxy fall apart. And somewhere, waiting in the void, humanity was watching and deciding when to step forward again. For weeks, the galaxy had lived under the shadow of one warship. The Aegis had done nothing more than arrive, speak, and wait. Yet in its silence, entire empires began to collapse under fear. But what the galaxy did not know was that the Aegis was never truly alone. Deep in the folds of uncharted nebulae, beyond the eyes of any council scout, humanity had been building. Cities carved into hollow moons, stations buried inside drifting comets, fortresses hidden within dying stars. Generations had passed in silence, each one adding to the strength of the next. Children were raised not with lullabies, but with the steady hum of engines and the promise of return. Every soul carried the same oath. One day, humanity will rise again. The warship Aegis had been the messenger. Its voice was not a threat, but a warning. Its presence was not an accident, but a signal. And now the galaxy was about to see what that signal truly meant. It began with faint echoes in the dark. At first, alien outposts thought it was static, but soon the signal grew clearer, engines igniting, thousands of them, moving in perfect silence across the void. An observation post near the nebula of Ortis was the first to witness it. Sensors flared as shapes emerged from the dust, massive hulls, sharper and darker than anything seen before. Warships, hundreds of them, sliding out of the nebula like ghosts. The outpost sent a warning to the Council, but before the message could finish, the transmission was cut. The last thing the crew saw was the shadow of an enormous ship passing overhead. The galaxy reeled when the news spread. It was no longer rumor, no longer whispers. The humans had a fleet, not one ship, not 10, but an armada that stretched across the stars, ships with weapons large enough to split moons, carriers the size of cities, and among them, flagships that made the Aegis look small. Panic erupted across the Council worlds. Leaders shouted over one another, demanding explanations, demanding answers. "How did they build this without us knowing?" cried one. "How many years have they been hiding?" cried another. But no answer came, because the truth was too heavy to face. The humans had been patient. While the galaxy wasted centuries in comfort and pride, humanity had been sharpening its claws. Then, without warning, the Aegis moved. It left the Council system and rejoined the shadows of the void. Alien fleets tried to follow, but their scanners failed. Every attempt to track the human armada ended in silence. The humans controlled not only ships, but the very flow of information. They decided what the galaxy saw and what it did not. The first true glimpse came when the armada revealed itself above the gas giant Charon. Billions watched live feeds as the sky above the planet filled with human ships. Their formation was flawless, their silence terrifying. No demands, no speeches, only presence. And that presence spoke louder than any words. Alien admirals wept at the sight because they understood something their leaders did not want to admit. This was not the rebirth of a species. This was the return of a superpower, and the galaxy was no longer the same. Among common citizens, hope grew faster than fear. Oppressed colonies raised banners with human emblems. Rebels whispered, "Humanity has come back for us." But no one knew the humans' true purpose. Were they here for revenge or for justice? Were they saviors or conquerors? Inside the human flagship, the commander of the armada gave a single order. It was not to attack, not to destroy, it was to wait. Because patience had always been humanity's greatest weapon, the galaxy would break itself under fear and suspicion, and when it finally collapsed, humanity would be ready to step into the light. The Council leaders gathered in secret, their voices heavy with despair. One elder whispered what everyone already knew. "The humans do not need to fire a shot. We will destroy ourselves before they even strike." And as her words echoed through the chamber, the stars outside lit with the silent march of human fleets. The age of alien rule was ending. The age of humanity was awakening. The galaxy no longer looked the same. The stars were filled with shadows that belonged not to aliens, but to humanity. The armada of human warships moved like silent storms, never striking, never retreating, only watching. Every world felt the weight of their presence. Every council meeting ended in fear. Every whisper across the galaxy carried the same question: what do the humans want? At first, many expected an invasion. They thought the human fleets would descend on planets, burning cities and breaking empires. But no attack came. The humans waited, patient as stone. And in that waiting, the galaxy grew more terrified than if the skies had been filled with fire. One evening, across every frequency, every channel, the silence broke. The message came from the flagship at the center of the human armada. It was not shouted. It was not triumphant. It was calm, steady, and cold. The face of the human commander appeared once more. Behind him glowed the vast fleet, endless and unshaken. "You feared we were gone, but humanity does not vanish," he said. "You told your children we were reckless, but we endured. You celebrated our extinction, but we rebuilt. We do not seek to rule you, but we will never kneel before you. Do not mistake silence for weakness, and do not mistake survival for surrender." The words struck deeper than any weapon. Entire council chambers fell silent. For centuries they had spoken of humans as reckless beasts. Now those same humans stood before them, not destroyed but stronger than ever. The commander's eyes burned as he continued. We will not erase you, we will not enslave you, but you will remember this truth. Humanity survives, humanity adapts, humanity returns. Across the galaxy, people trembled. On oppressed colonies, citizens cheered. On council worlds, leaders shook with fear. The humans had not declared war, yet their message felt heavier than an armada of fire, because it was not about power, it was about memory. Humanity demanded to be remembered, not as ghosts, not as myths, but as living flame. The warships began to move then. Engines roared softly, fleets turning as one. The galaxy held its breath, expecting the storm to fall. But instead, the human armada withdrew, ship by ship. They vanished back into the void, not defeated, not afraid, simply gone, leaving behind only silence and the echo of their words. In the chamber of the council, no one spoke. Every leader stared at the empty sky feeds. They had been given no treaties, no negotiations, no deals, only a warning, only a reminder that the galaxy was not the master of the stars, that humanity had not been erased. The elder who had once feared this moment whispered again, "They will return when they choose, and when they do, none of us will be ready." Her words were not challenged, for every leader knew they were true, and so the galaxy lived in uneasy sea. Elence. Empires tried to restore order, but fear lingered in every corner. Rebels painted human emblems on their walls, children whispered human names in their games, and rulers looked to the stars with dread. Because any shadow in the void could be the return of humanity. On a lonely world, far from the eyes of the council, the humans watched. They saw the panic, the fear, the hope, and they knew their plan was working. They had not needed to conquer. They had not needed to destroy. They had simply reminded the galaxy of who they were, and that reminder was more powerful than war. The human commander stood aboard his flagship, his voice low but unshaken. "This is not the end," he said to his crew. "This is only the beginning. We will return when the galaxy forgets again. And when that day comes, they will tremble once more, because humanity never dies. Humanity always returns." The fleet disappeared into the black, swallowed by the endless void. No trace, no signal, no sound. Only the legend remained. A legend carried in whispers, in warnings, in stories told to children. They believed humanity was gone. But when the warship replied, the galaxy learned a truth it would never forget. Humanity had returned, and the stars would never be the same.